Hello and welcome back to Logan Sounds Off. Today I'm going to be speaking to a very special musician, a session guitarist and musical director. I'm going to be speaking to Jake Curran. Jake, how are you?
Good. How are you, Logan? Nice to chat to you.
I'm I'm very good and it's great to chat to you as well. I'm really excited to have a chat about what you do. And for those who don't know you, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a guitar player, and musical director from Dublin, live over in London, and currently I'm working with Niall Horan. We're on tour in the States. We've been on tour for what feels like a lifetime. About 6 months. 6 months this year, and then we were out for about 9 months last year. So deep into that tour at the moment. Yeah, playing guitar and MD in the band. It's been going good. It's kind of gotten to a point now where it's just running like clockwork. Um, but yeah, that is life at the moment.
Brilliant depth of the tour, pretty exciting. And we like if anybody does know you, they can see through the people that you've played with, whether it be Dermot Kennedy, Mary Black. Um, you have a very eclectic mix of people who you play with, and you play tons of different styles of music. So I just want to get to where, when you were younger, what kind of music did you grow up with that inspired you today?
My dad was a guitar player, and he was playing loads of rock, loads of hard rock, like Tin Lizzy, Iron Maiden, Metallica, loads of like 80s bands like Def Leppard, Whitesnake. So I kind of AC/DC, I was kind of grew up on a lot of that at home. Um, so I spent, yeah, a lot of time listening to dad rock as it's sort of known now. But I had a teacher as well who got me into sort of jazz and um yeah, mainly jazz and sort of more folky stuff. And then from there I kind of was like, right, well, I might as well just get into some country and blues and kind of just started enjoying everything. Like by the time I was like 16, 17, I was sort of listening to bits of everything from every kind of world. Um, but yeah, definitely went heavy though on the guitar players, like listening to sort of solo guitar players, as well as guys who are in bands, but like mostly like, all the sort of guitar heroes like Jeff Beck's and Steve Vai, and then a bit of Brad Paisley when I got into the country stuff. So it was quite eclectic.
Yeah, very eclectic. By 16, listen to country blues and everything. That's really, really cool. And you can definitely hear the different influences when you're playing guitar. Um, it's just really interesting to hear that. And you, as we've been mentioning, you play guitar. But when you were younger, did you learn any other instruments?
No, not really. I mean, I played a bit of bass, um, but no, like I can't play any piano, which is something that I've always been meaning to change, but I just never do. I'm learning mandolin at the moment, which is fun, and learning some
Wow.
laps, which has been kind of a nice sort of thing to do on tour in downtime. What about you? Do you play anything? I see a
Uh,
few guitars in the back there.
yeah, I play the guitar. I have an acoustic guitar there and an electric guitar. And the guitar in the back is my dad's electric bass. And I am not very good at guitar, but I try, and
Yeah.
it's just about a bit of fun, and it's a great way to wind down, just to play some guitar. And I've been learning for about 2 years now, so
Hey.
I've been really getting into it recently and just practicing away. Um, I'm in no way good at guitar, but I just it's a fun way to play. So I've been really enjoying playing guitar. It's the first instrument that I've learned to play. I don't know, like you, I don't know how to play piano. Um, I just picked up the guitar as my first instrument.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to learn though, because you're at an age where you're obviously obsessed with music. Um, so gravitating towards an instrument is going to be a lot easier than someone who doesn't listen to music at all, which happens all the time. People get sent to lessons when they're like, I mean, I was sent to lessons when I was, or my parents threatened to send me to lessons when I was 8 or 9, and I just didn't want to do it. Um, and then a couple of years later, when the actual sort of love of music started developing, um, it was just easy to gravitate to the instrument. So
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like for me at the moment. I'm kind of gravitating towards more the guitar now, just because. I've become a lot more into music. Like there's always been a love of music there, but just I'd
Yeah.
say in the last 6 months or so, I've really just gone mad with listening to everything and just trying to get into tons of different types of bands, and just explore different genres. And playing guitar though is very difficult. And you would know that if anybody, you practice a lot and it pays off. If anybody looks at your Instagram and sees the crazy videos there of you playing guitar, really, really cool. And you began playing as a session guitarist from a very young age. So could you tell us how that journey began as a session guitarist?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I didn't really know what that was until I was maybe 14 or 15. Um, what a session guitar player was. But when I was 12, my teacher started putting me onto musical theater gigs that he wasn't able to do. Um, Dave Mullen was my teacher, who actually, funnily enough, lives around the corner from my mom and dad now. And I see him whenever I get a chance when I go home. But he was a legend, and he still is a legend. But whenever he couldn't do a gig uh, in a pit band for a musical, he would put me on it. So I started doing that stuff at quite an early age, with like reading, playing with people way older than me, pretty, which is funny. It was really educational because I learned quickly, learned how to be professional quickly, was held to a high standard. But also at the same time, there was a lot of sort of jaded attitudes that you would come across every now and then. Not from everyone, but I think you're someone who's been playing for like 40 or 50 years, there's going to be a bit of cynicism there. So I was definitely also picking up some of that crap quite early on,
Fair
which
enough.
which I don't know. I think I've managed to get rid of some of it, but it's probably creeping back in because I'm getting old. But yeah, it was after a few years of doing that I was kind of like, all right, this seems like something you could do as a career. And my teacher was like, yeah, absolutely. It's what I do and it's what this person does, blah blah blah. So then I just got really into looking at other session guitar players and kind of studying sort of their playing and studying the styles that they played. Um, but yeah, I love that like aspect of being a working musician. Um, like the two sides of it for me are like there's the touring side where you're in a band and you're with the same people every day and you're building sort of a good relationship with those people and you're playing the same music all the time, which is brilliant. But then there's the other side of it where you've got variety and different gigs every week, which I don't do as much of now because I'm touring, and I love that side of it and hope to get back to some of that at the end of the year. This is all over.
Yeah, and I mean you've played with some in really, really cool people. Dermot Kennedy, Mary Black, and you're going to sorry, you're currently playing and touring with, as we mentioned earlier, Niall Horan as a musical director and as the guitarist. So when you're going from somebody who Mary Black and Dermot Kennedy and Niall Horan are three very different musicians, when you're going from playing a very long tour with one musician to maybe just one concert or a couple of concerts with another musician, how do you find adapting from nearly style to style?
How did you find out about the Mary Black thing? Out of interest.
There was a couple of websites that I looked at and just looked at bios,
Yeah.
and I think I found that you played with Mary Black once or something like that. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I know,
So,
yeah, you did play with Mary Black, so I
yeah, yeah.
would,
Well,
yeah.
I never physically played with her. I did a recording from home for her.
Oh,
So like,
sorry.
no, 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 no. I'm not saying it that way. It was funny. I never actually met her. But did a
Oh,
record
wow.
for Brian. Brian Byrne was the um, producer and arranger. And yeah, no, that's just some niche knowledge that you've got there.
Oh,
I
thank you
even
so
forgot
much.
that I did that. Um, but I mean, she's amazing. She's obviously such an important figure in Irish music. So maybe someday we'll actually get to play with her. But sorry, to answer your question, I don't know. Like the adapting thing is, I guess you just have to really listen to the music, like listen to the songs and the styles of the artist that you're um gonna play with, and I feel like a lot of it is intuition. Um, kind of just, naturally know. I kind of feel like I naturally know what is the right way to approach a certain gig. I mean, something could be like super poppy where it has to be sort of squeaky clean and super tight and like precision is key. Or it can be something that's, if it's a folk gig, it can obviously be a bit looser and you approach that in a different way. But like I try and somewhat always play like myself, you know?
Wow, and I mean, just it's really cool actually seeing you play with these people and playing in really interesting styles with them. And just we're going to be getting techniques soon about even how you get into that mindset of playing with these different people. But first, I just want to ask you where you're currently playing live with Niall Horan, and playing live is most people get very nervous, but not only have you played live, but you've also played live on television with on like the Jimmy Fallon show and the Ellen show and many others. And these are big, big programs. Is there for you, are you more nervous playing a concert in front of tons of people or playing live in front of a camera for television?
Um, the TV thing, like usually is most TV shows now are apart from like, something like Saturday Night Live, most of them are pre-recorded. So you've got a few takes that you can do during the day. So it's not that nerve-wracking. I think it's tougher for the singer because there's always that, sort of risk of maybe a bit of pitchiness or, the vocal has to be perfect because it's going to be ingrained on, in YouTube land forever. But I mean, the first time I did the Ellen show, yeah, I thought that was kind of scary. Because I thought it was just going to be one take, but I think we got a couple of takes. Um, what I find scary is playing a gig, uh, of more sort of personal music, like stuff that you've sort of written, um, where I maybe feel like I'm putting my life on the line a bit more. Doing that, to like 20 people in a small room, that's terrifying. But
Wow.
big crowds. That's I don't know. You can't see anyone. You can see the people.
Yeah.
Well, like a big crowd is fine, but like yeah, 20 people playing something that you've written is a lot.
Yeah, it's
A
a
lot.
bit like it's a bit more of an intimate gig than thousands, yeah.
Yeah,
But
totally. Or like even going back to like college days, like doing auditions in college and stuff like that, and just playing for three sort of professors with their arms crossed. Uh, that's way more terrifying, I think.
wow, that would be pretty intimidating in all fairness. But that's a really interesting answer. I didn't really think about shows being pre-recorded, so I see what you're saying there. But so as a live guitarist, that's a pretty cool job, and you're very good at being a guitarist. But you also are a musical director, and at the moment you're the musical director with Niall Horan while you're touring. And honestly, I don't have a very good understanding of what a musical director is. And if anyone who's listening is like me and doesn't know, could you explain what a musical director is?
Yeah, it's someone who is either in the band or they don't have to be in the band, but they're sort of the person who oversees like takes the artist's vision, um, and takes the artist's music and translates it, from a record into sort of a live context. So in doing that, you will sort of listen to the music, you will send the music out to the musicians in the band, you'll pick the band, um, you'll do the arrangements, you'll do any sort of techie stuff like you know everyone sort of runs, playback rigs like Ableton, and so you'll take care of all that sort of stuff. And then in rehearsals, you'll sort of just run the rehearsals and make suggestions and sort of, I guess, yeah, just help the whole thing run smoothly and sound good. And you're kind of the go-between as well between the artist and the band. Um, and then sometimes between the artist and like sort of different elements of crew, whether it be sort of video or sound. Um, so it's cool. There's definitely like a bit of pressure that comes with it. But there's also a bit more creative sort of control and freedom. Um, and it's fun. Like it's fun trying to make something sort of come alive from a record. Um, because I don't know, records are great when they're made, but it needs to be sort of leveled up somewhat to translate to a live audience. So yeah, enjoyed doing that. I guess that's kind of what it is. I probably left out a few things, but
But
yeah.
it's a very important job, and it's one that's very special to a lot of people who go to see a live concert, and it's really something that makes a gig special. And along with being a session guitarist and a musical director, you are also have your own solo career as a guitarist, and you make really cool music. Um, could you tell us what inspired you, or yeah, it just inspired you to start making your own music?
I mean, I've kind of like sporadically done it over the years. It's never been sort of a constant thing. But the first thing that got me into doing it, um, I remember being younger and just having like an 8 track like recorder thing. It was like by Zoom. It was quite a cheap thing. Um, so it was just experimentation, really, just like figuring out how to record yourself at home, and that kind of, you know, helped me kind of create a few tunes when I was younger. But like currently, it's mostly just an outlet. It's just a sort of like to have something on the side that is like totally mine, and it doesn't have, I don't have to depend on anyone else. Um, can make something sound whatever way I want. And I also like it for like the kind of productivity side of it. Like it's fun to just write music and just put it out and just not think about it, and just like it's like exercising a muscle by just recording something and releasing it, recording and releasing it. It's I don't know. Like I put out a bunch of stuff under like an alias, which is called Coyote Hills. I don't know why it's called Coyote Hills. I think I just did a random Wikipedia search and that was a cool name. And it's just acoustic guitar music that I just basically improvise and throw up, and no one really listens to it, but it's it's kind of freeing to have just those outlets where I'm not being scrutinized, or I don't have to overthink things. But then also have a project with John, who's the bass player in the band, called Sé Bastian, which is like a lo-fi kind of ambient type thing, which is great fun. Again, there's creative sort of control there, but we're not very productive while we're touring. So
Well, actually, I've been listening to a bit
maybe
of Sebastian, and also as well, I've been listening to Coyote Hills. Thought that was really, really cool, and just some really nice music. I thought it was just kind of um, wholesome tracks. And if you want to check out any of that, links will be in the description. If you do want to check out any of the bands there, and I know Sebastian have a new EP out as well, so you can check that out if you want to. But another thing then that I'd like to just speak about um as one of my last questions is I heard you in an interview and I thought it was really, really cool. You said that when you're playing live, you don't really just think about what you're playing. You just use your muscle memory and just play what like to the song, but you don't try and overthink it. And I think that's a really cool strategy to keep your focus and nearly keep in the moment. But while you're playing, are there any other techniques that you'd use to stay focused?
that's something that's like feels like it's that sort of concept, or that's basically just what you said there, is right in the forefront of my brain at the moment, because we're like 56 or 57 gigs in, so the muscle memory is really kicked in, uh,
Okay.
and it's very easy to sort of not focus and just start thinking about doing random things, just start thinking about everything other than the gig. So I don't know, the other night, this is so stupid, I wouldn't recommend this. I tuned the guitar down a semitone and played everything up a fret to,
Wow.
to try and work my brain. I didn't do it for every song. I did it for like 6 or 7 songs just to like give my brain a little bit of a workout. Um, which was good, but afterwards I was like, ah, I'm not doing that again. That was that was just silly acrobatics. But I don't know. I've been trying to sort of just focus on like touch more, how I'm hitting the string. Um, Trying to get just maybe more focusing more on dynamics in the softer songs, trying to listen way more intently to the vocal and just try and, lock in with that. Kind of just like sort of stuff that you kind of that's easy to forget over the course of a tour, stuff that you would have focused on in rehearsals, stuff that kind of just becomes natural and you stop focusing on. I'm trying to like refocus on that and improve those little aspects. Uh, but it's hard. Like it's definitely hard to say 100% focused when you're um that many gigs in.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But just I find it really interesting you tune the whole guitar down to a semitone. It's an interesting way to get into your muscle memory, but I could see why you wouldn't want to do that again. But no, it you can really see how you put so much work into what you do, and you have so much passion in playing live when you watch some of the clips of you playing. It's incredible. So as well, there's people out there who maybe have a guitar and they kind of noodle around with it, or they just don't play it much. It just sits gathering dust. But there's others who just really want to start and get into playing music as maybe music fans or pe soon to be music fans. What tips would you give to people to really just focus on your guitar skills and playing?
I think that the main thing that people don't do when they're like learning guitar and getting into it and coming to lessons every week, um, is they don't listen to enough guitar players. Like, or maybe just they don't listen to enough music in general. So like I did a lot of teaching during lockdown and they had some great students. Um, but then had other ones who would be like coming looking to learn all this stuff. And I'd be like, well, who do you listen to? And they're like, oh, no one. And it's like, you're not you're not going to improve unless you know what the reference point is. So like the reference point being how good Jeff Beck plays or how good um Blake Mills plays or anyone. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as you just have sort of idols and people to look up to. Um, so I think that's the most important thing when learning to play. Because like hearing stuff that inspires you is only gonna allow the love to kind of grow. Um, and that's the to be honest, like still now after like playing for like over 20 years, which is crazy. Um, but after playing for 20 years, that's still really the only thing that will fully make me want to focus more on my guitar playing, which is like hearing other people play. And that can be like someone down in the pub, or that can be some, celebrated famous guitar player.
Yeah, wow. And I think that's a fantastic tip. I really think that's really cool. Um, and if there's anybody who wants to pick up a guitar and start playing, I'd really listen to that because that's very important. And I think it will be very helpful. And now for my last question, Jake, and this is one that I sometimes get the most fun out of, is I ask a lot of my guests, do you have any music recommendations as my final question? Is there any music that you're listening to at the moment that you'd like to recommend?
Yeah, and kind of listen to a bunch of random things. What are you listening to first?
Um, I'm listening to a ton of different things. I bought Lemoncello's debut album uh
Nice.
today, just today. And I've been listening to that. It's a really, really nice record. And I think the song that introduced me to Lemoncello was their track Dopamine, which I heard on Folk on One only recently. I think it was early June, but they've been somebody who I've been meaning to check out, and I just haven't been looking at them that much, so I've been just having a look at that. I've currently listening to an album called Dancing on the Edge, by Ryan Davis and the Roadhouse Band, and that was recommended to me by a record shop owner, Gary Keogh, in Kilkenny of Roller Coaster Records. I've been listening to Ex Magician, another album that was recommended to me, Sit Tight by Gary, a really cool album. I was also listening to Freedom at Last by Freedom. It's being repressed by BYG Records pretty soon, which I'm excited for. Inside the Light World, Sun Ra meets the OVC by Sun Ra, which was really cool to hear as well. I'm a massive jazz fan, so to listen to
Uh,
Sun Ra
Sonra.
was
Yeah,
really
I've never
cool.
gone into Sonra. What is it like? Is it like improvisational like free jazz?
Some of it can be, and some of it is composed.
Okay.
It's experimental and it's just really strange, but
Yeah.
it's really cool. But some of his stuff is very dense, and then
Mm.
some of it is just very light-hearted. I think Inside the Light World is very light-hearted. I love that particular record. I hope to pick that up maybe on vinyl or CD pretty soon. It's a really good album. I also
Yeah.
had to listen to Neve Reagan's album Come As You Are, and I've been meaning to have a listen to Neve Reagan for a little while, but
Cool. Eve is
di I
amazing.
didn't. She's a really good musician. I love that album. The highlight for me was music. That particular track off that record was insane, just lovely. I just recently did an album review of a Lazarus Soul's latest record, No Flowers Grow in Cement Gardens. So I went back to one of their earlier EPs, Mercury Hit a High, and I just thought that was a really cool. I just thought that was a really cool record. I listened to Don't Ask Away, the single by Innuendo. Um, and I've been listening to a ton of different things. Pharaoh by Pharaoh Sanders was another one that I had to listen to. That's a really cool album. I had to listen to Maine, the latest DP from Hey Nothing, and they're a really cool band. And I listened to the live gig by Goose, which was in the Man, Philadelphia. Um, Goose are a really cool band. They've got some long songs, but they're just an
Yeah. Is
excellent
it like
band.
psychedelic rock kind of thing?
Yeah, they're really cool. And then they've got a
Uh-huh.
band that three of the members from Goose have started Oribolo, and I'm excited
Okay.
to start getting into them as well. Um,
You'll
they're
have to send it.
apparently very good. Yeah, they've got a really cool sound. I like Tumble off Goose's album, and then I also heard Let It All In by Arboretum. All Life Long by Callie Malone is a very good album that I would strongly recommend. I listened to the first single for the expanded edition of Selected Ambient Works Volume 2 by Aphex Twin, and I'm really excited for that. And I listened to Sun Ra's The Solar Myth Approach Volume 1, and I listened to Lankam's new album, Live in Dublin. I listened to the Spiritual Jazz 16 uh compilation just by the Spiritual Jazz record label is what they're called. They're really, really good. And I listened to Sprince's back catalogue LP, Going Insane by Pot Pot. I heard the latest single from Sorks 80 by OCs, which is coming out soon. So yeah, I'm listening to a ton of different music at the moment.
You're
Um
definitely listening more to me.
yeah, I just it's cool. And I'm listening to a couple of records as well, just spinning a couple of old records that I haven't listened to in a little while. I've really been getting into The World Won't Listen by the Smiths recently as well, and just kind of getting into Tom Waits a bit. But yeah, as I was saying
Cool.
regarding vinyl, I just listened
Yeah.
to Lemoncello. That was a fantastic record, and I would strongly recommend. Out of all of those, Lemoncello are very good, and Sun Ra. So I would recommend both of them. They're very good.
I'll check them out. Yeah. The Limoncello girls were in Maynooth college where I studied as well.
Oh,
We
really?
only met a couple of times, but we were adjacent, both
Oh,
studying
yeah.
the same music. So fair play to them. I'll have to listen to the record because I've not really dived into their stuff. Um,
Nor have
and
I.
then
I just dove in today like that. Like that's the
yeah,
first time I heard the record. So
yeah,
it
that's
was it was
cool.
cool though. Uh,
I'll give it a listen. I'm loving Neve's new album. It's great. I'd like played a bunch of those tunes with her last year. We did a gig. Um, so it was nice hearing the sort of rest of the record. I love the tune record, the one with Soak on it. Um, I think their voices are just amazing together. Um, so that's cool. Um, what else have I been listening to? I've gone blank now. I was just listening to earlier, Pinegrove. They've an album called oh, let me just look it up here.
Oh,
It's a
and
lot.
another album that I strongly recommend actually is Live in Dublin by Lancome. That's just
Oh yeah. Yeah, you
yeah,
mentioned that. Yeah, I'll check. I
yeah,
have to check that out.
yeah. That
Yeah.
one is just fantastic. But yeah, sorry, I just meant to say that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
all good.
Pine Groves. So what's
Yeah,
that album called?
Montclair is the name of the album. They're like a band from the Midwest, uh, in the States. It's kind of Midwest emo meets Americana. Super, um, super tight, like big chunky guitars. Loads of really interesting tempo changes. Like the music is, I'm not gonna say it's like classical music, but rather than it being sort of metronomic, it drifts in and out of tempo. Um, really
It's really
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great, really interesting band. And the songs are like they're like really catchy. So it's a cool combination of like catchy music and but like still interesting music. It's not like sort of your average kind of pop thing or whatever. But listen to them. Been listening to Chanel Beads, which is like Chanel and then Beads Beads. I think it's like a guy from New York producer. Um, quite interesting dark sound music. I don't know how to describe it. I'm pretty bad at describing music. Um, but just check him out. You might like him. There's been that. There's been I've been listening to Near Felder's latest record. Near is an amazing guitar player from New York. I think he lives in LA now.
Never
So he's
heard of
got
Neil Felders, no.
Near, yeah, Nir, and
Oh,
then Felder.
sorry. Sorry, near. Sorry,
Yeah,
very
he's
near.
like he's a jazz guitar player from New York. Well, he does the session thing as well. He's unbelievable. And he's a lovely dude. So his third album is out. Well, it's called Tree, so I presume it's his third. But check that out. It's a good jazz album. Um, and the other thing that I haven't listened to in a while, but was big into at the start of the year is that McGee album, which
Oh,
is
that was recommended to me by Kira. Yeah.
yeah, the two
Um,
star the Dream Police record is very cool, and it's quite exciting to hear what he will do next because um I don't know, I think that music is very like not hypnotic, but it I don't
just
know, transports
it's
you into
it.
the world.
Yeah. Honestly, I heard a lot about it, and I don't know do I like it or not. And it's a
Yeah,
bit like it's just a very strange record, and I did like listening to it. I don't know would I listen to it again though. That's the thing. Like
yeah.
it
I think
was,
that's the cool thing about it. It's not designed to like satisfy everyone, and it can
yeah,
but a bit stop starty, and it kind of it in one way it maybe never settles. It never kind of settles into a groove. Which is well was that's what I like about it. I find it kind of I don't know, not discomforting, but I don't know, it's just super interesting to me, and I think his guitar playing is amazing, and the sounds are very cool.
just
So yeah,
really
that was
interesting.
definitely on rotation a bit. Another cool one actually that you might like that you may not have heard is a Willie Nelson album called Teatro. T
Teatro.
Teatro. Um, and I've been kind of checking that out. I'm kind of putting that on for like the last sort of few months. Um, it's produced by Daniel Lanois, who did a load of U2 albums and Peter Gabriel
Wow.
and tons of
Oh,
records.
Peter
Daniel
Gabriel.
Lanois, yeah, Daniel Lanois actually would be a cool guy for you to interview if you could somehow get in touch with him.
Yeah, there's some great people who I'd love to interview, and I'd say like s- for me, especially where you mentioned there Peter Gabriel, I would strongly recommend now that I think about it, his latest record. Have
Okay,
you heard I.O.?
no,
It's a masterpiece.
really,
Definitely, one of my top five favorite albums of last year.
Right, okay. I'll get it. I'll check it out.
Actually fantastic. I'd say he released 24 tracks and 12 were bright side mixes and the 12 were dark side mixes. Uh Definitely do not shuffle it because
Yeah.
it's a really cool album to listen to. And I got the bright side mix because all together, like all the album, you can get a box set of it. It's like 180 quid or something. But I
Yeah.
got like the bright side mix in Tower Records. And I listened to that so many times. Like so many times.
What do you mean bright side mix and dark side mix?
Well, actually, so essentially what he did was that he took 12 songs that he wrote. I think IO over 120 ideas went into IO
Right.
and only 12 came out. The album's 24 songs long, but it's that half of them are bright side mixes and the other ones are dark side mixes. So for example, the first track would be Panopticon, bright side mix. The 13th would be Panopticon, dark side mix.
Okay.
But it's really, really cool. And you can get the CD, you can get on CD and black vinyl and the box set and everything. It's just a beautiful record and there's some really sad moments on it, especially playing for time. I did a big album review on that. So if anybody just wants to see that, I think like it's a massive 20-minute one or something. I just spoke about that for so long. So, and just some really interesting points about that record. If you haven't heard it, check it out. And I'll have the album review in the description. But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
strongly recommend. Really good album.
That's interesting. Um, Mixing the same song different ways.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting choice. But where you were mentioning there jazz with Chanel beads, or sorry, not Chanel beads. Um
Here.
Yeah, near. I
Yeah.
would recommend for jazz, just this is really weird. It's kind of upbeat, strange jazz. Unusual Object by Josh
Okay.
Johnson.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's a really cool record. Just I would strongly recommend that. It's very, very difficult to describe. And if you've heard
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
before, you'll know what I mean because it's just so weird. But
Yeah. Yeah. What does he play? Is he like a sax player?
I think he's a sax player, and his album actually he played in a band called Small Medium or SML, and they just released an album called Small Medium Large, and it
Yeah.
was only featured recently as like Bandcamp album of the day, and it was released by International Anthem, and I love that record label. They make some beautiful albums,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was on Bandcamp Radio only recently, and that's how I discovered him just
Okay.
by finding out about that. And then I pre-ordered the album that I had it wish listed just to listen to when it came out. And yeah, I'm really delighted with it and I hope to get it someday, maybe on vinyl. It's really,
Yeah.
really cool. I would strongly recommend it. It's very weird though.
Yeah. That weird is good. I'll check it out. Yeah. The last thing, speaking of weird, the last thing to recommend for guitar players, um, warning, the music is it's not amazing. It's cheesy sort of fusion music. But the guitar playing in it is absolutely bonkers. It's by a band called Charisma, and the song is called "Aliens Rip My Face Off."
Wow. That
Um,
is very graphic.
yeah, it's very graphic, and you know, it's cheesy jazz fusion, cheesy dark jazz fusion music. So, but the guitar player in question is Michael Landau, who is an LA session guy. He's probably in the 60s now. He's been around for years. He also plays with James Taylor. He played with Joni Mitchell, played with tons of people, Michael Jackson. Um, but I think he is the best living guitar player on the planet for my tastes and what I'm into. So
Wow.
check out his solo on Aliens Rip My Face Off. It kind of rips your face off, like it is mental. Um, but yeah, that's my nerdy guitar recommendation.
Well, if you're listening and if you want to play guitar, if you're playing guitar, listen to that. I'm gonna try my best to check it out. If I can find it, I'll definitely have a listen. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for those recommendations. And thank you for giving me the chance to spout out all the music that I've been listening to and
No
just
worries.
pour it all out onto this episode. But thanks so much, Jake, for just talking to me about everything as a musical director and a session guitarist. It's been great to chat to you, and I can't wait to see what you're doing in the future. If you want to follow Jake on any of his social media, again, all links will be down in the description, so make sure to check that out. Thank you so much, Jake. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Logan. No, I appreciate you asking to do this interview, and it's been lovely to chat to you. And I think you're doing a fantastic job. And I hope that you continue doing it and just get to chat to, you know, more interesting people and hopefully sort of more famous people and people who have done, way more things than me.
I don't
Take
say that,
your sights
Jake.
on take your sights on Daniel Lanois. I think that'd be an interesting one.
I'll make sure to check him
Like,
out.
yeah.
Thanks, Jake.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye.
Nice one. See you later.